So today we are going to look at the NC4 isomerization process, plant wide control of that process. Now let's first look at what the process is or why the process is required. You see, in refineries, isobutane is a more important more valuable feedstock than normal butane, because branched isomers are more valuable, because isobutane can be used to make certain branch chain molecules that then become additives for increasing the octane number of gasoline, and I think isobutane is also the feedstock for some other downstream products. Okay, so NC4 is not as valuable. NC4 is valuable for fuel, burn it like LPG. Okay, so IC4 is valuable as a feedstock, and so what is done is normal butane is converted to the more valuable isobutane, and for that you use the isomerization process. Now here is the process. You have a C4 feed stream. Okay, this is the C4 feed stream. Okay, and this feed stream is containing C3 propane, IC4 and NC4, isobutane and normal butane, and IC5 isopentane. So the feed is mostly normal butane, little bit of C3 and little bit of C5 impurities. Now this feed is sent to a deisobutanizer, DIB, deisobutanizer column. It is a tall tower, you can see it's got 50 trays, and what the deisobutanizer does is it takes out the more volatile IC4 as the top product, and NC4 drops down the bottoms. So the light key, what is the light key? What is the light key for this column? IC4 is the light key. And what is the heavy key? NC4. NC4 drops down, right? So what will be the impurity in the product? Any propane is bound to end up in the product. Any propane in the feed is bound to end up in the product. Yes or no? So the impurities are all the propane that's coming in the fresh feed plus any NC4 that leaks up the top. In the bottoms, what is the impurity? Any IC4 that leaks down the bottoms. Okay, so the bottoms is fed to a purge column. What does the purge column do? It removes IC5 down the bottoms, which is heavy, and the mixture containing NC4 and some IC4, any IC4 that might have leaked down the bottoms, is sent to the reaction section. How is the reaction done? You send the distillate through a feed effluent heat exchanger. What does the feed effluent heat exchanger do? It heats up the cold feed to the reactor using the hot reactor effluent. Okay, and then you have a heater that heats the feed to the reactor temperature, and then you have an adiabatic packed bed reactor in which the reaction NC4 isomerization reaction NC4 goes to IC4 occurs. Okay, the reactor outlet is used to preheat the reactor feed, and then this outlet from the feed effluent heat exchanger is cooled, condensed, and because NC4 has been converted to IC4 in the reactor, this feed is, this stream is richer in IC4, therefore it is fed slightly above 10 trays above, I think, or 20 trays above the fresh feed. Okay, in the deisobutanizer column. Okay, so this is the process. Okay, now we are going to develop there is a base case that has been taken from one of Liebman's case studies. Okay, so without let's see, 17% IC4. Okay, degrees of freedom, steady state degrees of freedom batao bhai. How many steady state degrees of freedom? 2, 3, 4, 5. No. 1 for the fresh feed, 2 each for the 2 columns, that's 5. 1 for the heater, 1 for the cooler. So how much is that? 7. Okay.
I didn't count the fresh feed.
Now you have to count the fresh feed too. So 7. I have also included the reactor pressure as a degree of freedom. You know what is the pressure in the gas loop? That has also been included as a degree of freedom. Okay. So including that, there is 8 degrees of freedom. Control degrees of freedom is 13. You just count the number of valves, it's 13. Okay. All right. Now mode 1 given. So in mode 1, what do we have? In mode 1, this is given, the fresh feed rate to be processed, the processing rate is given. Also, why do you have the cooler? Basically to condense the vapor, to liquefy the vapor, right? So basically the temperature at the outlet of the cooler is essentially fixed. Yeah, so we'll say that okay, these two things are fixed. FC4, the amount, the processing rate is given, and how much I need to cool down so that everything condenses, that is also sort of fixed by the vapor liquid equilibrium. Yes or no? Yeah. So T cool is fixed, FC4 is fixed. Okay. The reactor should be operated at maximum inlet temperature. Why is that? And the pressure in the reactor should be as high as can be. Why is that? Maximum reactor temperature implies maximum conversion. Maximum conversion means less amount of NC4 circulating around the plant. If less amount of NC4 is circulating around the plant, then you essentially have to boil less off in the purge column. Yes or no? Also, you will save energy in the DIB column, because there's right. So okay, same for the same reason, pressure of the reactor should be maximum. This is like, in a liquid phase reactor, the level of the reactor should be maximum. Yeah, similarly pressure of the reactor should be maximum. Yeah. Okay. Obviously you want the impurity that's allowed in your product. What is the impurity? NC4. That should be at its maximum limit. Yeah. Yes or no? Okay. Anything else that you can think of that will have an economic impact? What about the purge? You are losing NC5 here. What about this guy? What will be the impurity here?
The normal butane might.
So normal butane can go down here. Normal butane is your raw material which you are converting to IC4. It's valuable. If you are going to lose it, then you are going to lose it, right? So you don't want too much NC4 to leak down the bottoms of the purge column. Yes or no? So I am saying, okay, we will not allow NC4 to go beyond 1%. So we'll just say, okay, fix it, because that's an indirect way of imposing an economic constraint. Ensure that too much NC4 doesn't leak down the bottoms. So how many things have been specified? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's left? 2 degrees of freedom are left, right? Unconstrained degrees of freedom 2. What are those 2 degrees of freedom? I am just saying the amount of NC4 leaking down here and the amount of IC5 leaking up here. How does that affect your economics? If you allow more amount of NC4 to leak down the bottoms of the first column, what happens to the boil up in the first column? It goes down. It will go down, right? If I allow more heavy key to leak down the bottoms, boil up will go down. Yes or no? So I save on energy. But then that whatever has leaked down must be sent up in the purge column. So that will go up. So these are the two opposing. Also, there is another effect, the dilution effect. So if you allow too much NC4 to leak down the bottoms, it will dilute the oh sorry, I am so sorry, this should be I.
Yes. Also the in the DIB column, the top product which is written in red XLC4 max.
So that's the this should be I.
IC4.
Yeah. X. Okay. So the amount of isobutane and the amount of isopentane circulating around, these are your two unconstrained degrees of freedom.
Yes.
Okay. If you allow more to leak out, or IC4 to leak down the bottoms of the deisobutanizer, your deisobutanizer duty goes down. However, your purge column duty will go up because that has to be sent up. Also, your feed to the reactor will be more dilute.
Yes.
Yes or no? So these are the opposing effects that give you an optimum. A similar argument also holds for XIC5 in the distillate here. These are your two unconstrained degrees of freedom. How much IC4 and IC5 you are allowing to circulate around the plant. These are your two unconstrained degrees of freedom. Yes or no? Agreed? Okay. Mode 2, I want to maximize throughput. Then what do? Mode 1 constraints will anyway be active. What happens is, of course, now the throughput is no longer fixed. It's a degree of freedom that will be optimized. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 constraints are active, plus these 3 constraints become active. Okay, and so you will count 5 plus 3 is actually 8. All degrees of freedom have been used up in maximizing your throughput. So your steady state operating degrees of freedom is 8. 8 constraints are active. Equality or inequality. Yeah? Yes or no? Okay. So now, by the way, does it make sense? I mean, think about it. If I go back, FC4 is fixed. Let us say I am jacking up FC4. What I am basically saying is, as I am jacking up FC4, Q heater max becomes active, and if I want to increase FC4 further, I should also maximize my boil up here in both the columns. Why is maximizing boil up causing a rise in throughput? How will you maximize boil up?
Because the more you are setting up the things up, the more it will start sucking.
Why will it suck up more? That's the question.
Control the level using
Level.
Yeah, sure, I agree. What is boil up doing? V3 max is essentially preventing
heavy feed to leak down the bottom.
preventing IC4 from leaking down the bottoms. If I want to drive it up, if I drive it to max, what will happen to the IC4 leaking down the bottoms? It will become less. Yeah. Similarly, if I drive V2 to max, see, NC4 is fixed. That constraint has to be active. So if I am maximizing the boil up, what's happening is I am sending IC5 up. Okay. Am I sending IC5 up? No. If I increase the maybe we'll talk about it once the control system is there. I think it will be very clear. So now let's just, unconstrained degrees of freedom is 0. Now let's just, that level controller is there in case I need to put in some controllers, copy paste. All right. Now because these 3 constraints are active, these are flow controlled, not used for controlling anything. Okay. Then I need to control the temperature going into the reactor. The only way I can do that is by adjusting the flow through the reactor. Yeah. So therefore that is this. See this stream is what flows through the reactor. Yeah. So by adjusting this flow, I am controlling the temperature inside the reactor. Yes or no? It's kind of like adjusting hot and conventionally what you would do is you would adjust the heater duty to control the reactor temperature.
FEHE is actually working like a heat exchanger, which is depending upon the flow of the
FEHE, there is no control degree of freedom there. Whatever heat gets transferred there gets transferred.
but the flow that is coming into the FEHE is essentially the reason that is, you know, the lesser the amount of the input from the purge column, the more it will get heated, because
but I want that input to be as high as possible because I want to maximize throughput. Mode 2.
So that's why we will control the flow in a way so that there is, you know, limited amount of
No, then none of that. I cannot use the heater duty because it is active. Conventionally I would use the heater duty.
Yes.
Yeah, because that is active, I don't use it. Next handle that is available to me is how much is flowing through the system. So I am adjusting the flow through the reactor, right? And that flow through the reactor happens to flow through the FEHE, happens to flow through the heater, happens to be the distillate of the purge column, but it's got nothing to do with, right? But please understand that the degree of tightness of control this way, or alternatively this way, suppose I was doing it this way, I could have done it this way too. Suppose I would do, the degree of tightness of control would be comparable. Do you see what I am saying? I make an adjustment in the furnace fuel flow rate, greater firing happens, the tubes heat up, and as the tubes heat up, you know, my feed to the reactor is hotter. That takes maybe a couple of minutes, maybe 3-4 minutes, depending on how big the furnace is. Yeah. Similarly, I change the flow rate, and then because flow rate is essentially incompressible flow, right? So I make a change in flow here, there is an immediate change in flow there, right? And therefore things heat up or cool down immediately, right? So I make a change in the furnace duty, things heat up or cool down almost immediately. I make a change in the flow through the system, things heat up or cool down almost immediately. Yeah. So the degree of tightness of control of temperature will be about the same. Agreed? Whether I am controlling the temperature using the furnace or I am controlling the temperature using the flow through the reactor. Yes or no? Okay, once we agree on that, then okay, temperature control is this way. I also need to control the pressure, right? So I control the pressure by adjusting how much I am withdrawing from here. So that gives me pressure control. That's it. These are my or just a second, I also need to control the purities. So I am saying composition control, but this will typically be done using, for example, a delta T measurement. What is a delta T measurement? Okay, if you have a separation that's easy in a column, then you will have a large temperature drop across the column. Then temperature is a good indicator of composition, tray temperature. But if you have close boiling components, which is the case here, IC4, NC4, they will be close boiling. So over 50 trays, your temperature may be changing by only 15 degrees Celsius. So therefore temperature is not a good indicator of composition. Why? Because change in temperature from one tray to the next is very small. That small change in temperature could be due to change in composition, or it could also be due to small fluctuations in pressure across the column. Yeah. So whether the change in temperature is due to composition or the change in temperature is due to slight change, small changes in the pressure of the column, you really can't tell, right? And therefore temperature is not a good indicator of what? Composition. Okay. So in such columns, which are called superfractionators, tall towers, 50 trays here, in such columns what is typically done is, you instead of controlling T, you control a delta T. Delta T means, you know, you will take 5 trays, well, one tray here, maybe 5 trays above or below, take the difference in these two tray temperatures. When you take the difference in these two tray temperatures, the pressure effects gets cancelled out, right? Because you are taking the difference, the pressure effect, if the pressure of this tray is rising, pressure of this tray also must be rising. Okay. So the temperatures of both the trays, boiling temperatures of both the trays have increased by about the same amount. When you subtract the two, that pressure effect gets cancelled out. Then the difference in the tray temperature is essentially due to change in composition as you move from here to here or from here to here, right? So then delta T is a better indicator of what? Composition. Yeah. So typically what will be done is, you will have a delta T controller that is adjusting the reflux, and the delta T set point is being adjusted by the composition controller. But for ease of drawing, I have just shown a single composition controller there. Okay. Similarly, in the second column, you have a, you see now the boil up is at max. Since the boil up is at max, you cannot use it for temperature control. Therefore, you control the temperature or the amount of the amount of NC4 leaking down the bottoms, you control that by adjusting the feed. Yeah, and of course, in order to keep the composition fixed at 1%, you have a cascade composition controller. Yeah. So, I have put in place loops for controlling the active constraints. Is there any other active constraint? Let us see, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, you can 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, now 6, there should be 8, some things are missing.
So the pressure and this thing.
No, pressure is controlled, temperature is controlled, composition.
So in the purge column, the pressure and
No.
the level of the reflux drum.
I said there were 8 active constraints, right?
Yes.
Are there 8 active constraints here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where is the 8th one? Oh, cooler temperature. Sorry, T cool. T cool is the one that I missed. Okay, forget that. All constraints have been controlled except that T cool will be controlled by the cooler duty. That loop has not been shown. Yeah, so that makes it 8. Okay. So now I put in the inventory loops. Yeah, so T cool comes in there. Okay. Level control. You see, now the level controller in the purge column, because the distillate is taken for temperature control to the reactor, level control has to be this way. There is no other option. Okay. Level control in the bottom can be this way. Yeah. Okay. So we do it that way. Level control in the deisobutanizer has to be using the fresh feed. There is no other option because there is no other valves left. Yeah. Okay, so I put in the level controllers. Of course, pressure controllers will be as before. This is my control system for process operation at max throughput. Okay. Now let us say I want to reduce throughput. Okay. How will I reduce throughput? Well, let me just, I'll keep the boil up in the first column in ratio with the total feed to that column. Okay, and I'll adjust, you see, I'll reduce that, I'll reduce or I'll increase. Now I'll reduce the ratio set point. Okay, we'll repeat it again. Then I'll do the same thing here. I'll keep the boil up in ratio with the fresh feed and I'll reduce that set point. Okay, and finally what I'll do is I'll use this Q max, the heater duty, as my throughput manipulator to reduce the throughput further. Let's go in the reverse direction. I am at low throughputs, I want to increase throughput. Okay, what do? I start jacking up my heater duty, reactor heater duty, the throughput manipulator, right? As I jack it up, it is the first constraint to become active. Okay, so this becomes max, this max is out. Then what do? I start increasing this ratio set point, this guy. As I am increasing this ratio set point, the boil up is increasing. As the boil up is increasing, what is happening? More material is sent up. So now what I will get is, I am increasing the boil up, the amount of NC4 that is leaking down the bottoms is kept fixed by the controller here. This is fixed, this keeps it fixed, whatever is leaking down. So then what happens is, more material accumulates inside the reflux drum, therefore the level controller starts putting more reflux back into the column. Now because the reflux has increased into the column, the amount of IC5 leaking up the top will go down. Yes or no? So an increase in boil up translates to an increase in reflux, and because the reflux has increased, now the IC5 impurity up the top goes down. So let us say earlier I was having 10% IC5 leaking up the top, boil up is increasing and therefore this goes down to, let us say, 1% or less than 1%. Does that make sense? Now what is happening is, the amount of IC5 going up the top has reduced. So if I look at the stream which is going to the reactor, it's got mostly NC4, a little bit of IC5 and a little bit of IC4. Yeah. By increasing the boil up, what I have done is I have made this go to 0 or close to 0. Therefore, the flow to the reactor has now become, this is gone, the flow to the reactor is essentially reduced. Because the flow to the reactor has reduced, Q heater is at max, therefore this stream will be hotter. Because this stream will be hotter, I will start sucking more stuff here. I will say, okay, this is hotter, send me more stuff. So as I start sending more stuff, essentially I will suck in more feed through the action of the inventory controllers. Yes or no? Does that make sense or no? By driving the amount of IC4 to 0, I can essentially suck in more feed. Yes or no? Now let's go the reverse. So even though Q heater has reached max, by adjusting the amount of IC5 leaking up the top of the second column, I can still jack up my throughput a little bit. Okay, I can do the same thing here. Oh, sorry, I can do the same thing here. See what happens is, as I am jacking up this throughput manipulator, as I am jacking up this ratio set point, this guy, V2 reaches max, right? The column reaches its flooding limit. Okay, so then what do? I say, well, now I am going to decrease the amount of IC4 that's circulating around. Just like I decrease this, I am going to decrease this too. How do I decrease this? By cranking up this boil up, by increasing the ratio set point, boil up to feed ratio set point. As I am increasing this ratio set point, what happens is, what will happen? Boil up increases. If boil up increases, the amount of IC4 that's leaking down decreases, right? And therefore, in the same way as before, I will be sucking in more fresh feed. Yes or no? Alright. Even though the increase in throughput by these is very small, 2% or 3%, of the order of 3 to 4%, nevertheless 3 to 4% integrated over years of operation translates to a heck of a lot of yearly revenue. Yeah. So that's that. So you can look at it two ways. I am at a given low throughput, I want to jack up throughput, or I am at max throughput and I want to jack down throughput. So if I am at max throughput, which is what this is, what do I take up? I take up control of what? As I am reducing throughput. Okay, well, I take up ratio control, here, and then finally I reduce the throughput using this, right. So boil up is taking up ratio control with respect to the feed to the column, both cases. Both boil ups are maintained in ratio with the feed to the column. That makes sure essentially that you are not unnecessarily consuming too much, over boiling, okay, consuming too much energy. Okay. Looked at the other way, I am at a low throughput. When a column gets flooded, I give up that ratio control. Yeah. And when I give up that ratio control, what is being given up? What is essentially being given up? When this hits max, the amount of IC5 that's going up floats, is no longer under control. It will float to whatever it has to float to. Similarly, when this hits max, when this chap hits max, which is when do they hit? I don't know. So when this hits max, the amount of IC4 leaking down the bottoms is not in my hands. Does that make sense or no? So when a constraint gets hit, you lose something. What is it that you are losing? That must be very clear. Okay. So in this case, when V3 hits max, you lose control on the amount of IC4 leaking down the bottoms. Similarly, when V2 hits max, you lose control on the amount of IC5 leaking up the top, right? Is that acceptable? That's the question. Yes. The answer, your control system must be structured that the answer is yes. Is that acceptable? Does that make it, will the plant still be operable? Let us say I was using V3 max or V2 max to control impurity in the bottoms. Let us say I was using, I was doing the conventional stuff. I was doing this. Let's say I was doing this. Yeah? Would this be acceptable when V3 hits max? When V3 hits max, you essentially lose control of how much NC4 is dropping down the bottoms. That has an economic penalty, because NC4, by converting it to IC4, I am making money. Now I am just letting NC4 go down, right? There is a severe economic penalty associated with that. Similarly, on the other hand, by losing control of, because it's all in the recycle loop, right? How much IC4 is leaking down, how much IC5 is leaking up, that's all inside the plant. There may be a penalty, but it's not very severe, right? Why is it not severe? Because energy is much cheaper than raw material and products, right? Yes or no?
So then, won't the recycle cost increase?
Yeah, but that doesn't hit me as much as, for example, what I told you. Now it's all a matter of, so having variability in recycle is okay. Having variability in the fresh feeds or in the product or in the purge stream, I would say there will, you better think twice about it before you say that that's okay. You will have to put your variability someplace. Where would you rather have it? In the product stream? Hell no, that's what I'm going to sell. In the raw material stream? Hell no, it costs. In the purge stream? Hell no, my productivity goes down, because instead of making more IC4, I'm just dumping it down the purge. You see what I'm saying? So where would I rather put it? In the levels? Yes. In the heater duty, boil up, etc., yes, because those are all utilities. Next, in the recycles, okay. Only in a worst case situation, I would say, well, there is no option, this is not working, that level control is not robust, etc., I have to take some variability in one of the inlet or outputs to the plant, material inputs or material outputs from the plant. Then you will take that material output which costs the least, and you will say, okay, let the variability go there. Do you see what I am saying? Ultimately, it is all about managing variability. Where would you rather have the variability? In this case, it turns out I need not have variability in the purge stream. I can manage my plant perfectly okay without what? Without compromising on any of my active constraints. You see, in this scheme, this active constraint is tightly controlled. Yes or no? This active constraint is tightly controlled. This active constraint is at max. This active constraint is at max. This active constraint is at max. This active constraint is tightly controlled. You tell me one thing that is not tightly controlled. Yeah? Everything is tightly controlled, and the inventory management scheme is also robust. So I would rather put this. Now let's compare this with, for example, blah blah blah, conventional. In a conventional scheme, I'll have my throughput manipulator at the feed. Okay. Then I do the usual stuff. Yeah, level controllers in the direction of flow. In the purge column, because this is a very small stream, because this is a very small stream, it's just a leak, I control the level using the boil up. Okay. Everything else, everything is conventional. Reactor temperature control is using heater duty. Yes or no? Then you'll have this. Yes or no? Okay, that's your control system. Mode 1 operation, no problem, no constraints are active, you are away from the constraint limits, this will work just fine. Okay, now I start jacking up the throughput. By the way, the two set points in green are unconstrained degrees of freedom. Mode 1 unconstrained degrees of freedom were 2, right? So what are the two set points that the operator can set? So these are the two set points that the operator is setting. Yeah, does that make sense or no? Okay, I am jacking up throughput. Q heater approaches maximum, but I cannot have a situation where reactor temperature control is lost. Yes or no? Alright. So what do? I look at the position of the reactor heater valve and adjust the throughput to maintain Q heater at close to max, but not at max, because I cannot afford to lose reactor temperature control. Yeah. So I have to put in this loop. Okay. Then what do? I want to jack up my throughput further. What do? Well, I'll say, okay, this is my throughput manipulator, I'll increase the ratio. By increasing the ratio, I am increasing the reflux. By increasing the reflux, I am essentially reducing the amount of IC5 leaking up the top. I am doing the same thing. Okay. But then this boil up approaches max. Yeah. Once this boil up approaches max, I cannot afford to allow, I cannot afford to lose control of what is leaking down the bottoms of this purge column, right? Therefore, what will I do? I will adjust the ratio set point so that this boil up is maintained close to max, but not max, because at max the column will flood. I will have to basically probably take a shutdown. Yes or no? Alright. Okay, so this thing comes into being, and then what do? Then this is my throughput manipulator. I keep on reducing the composition of IC4 leaking down the bottoms of the, yeah.
So in this column, when you increase the reflux, the amount of IC4 going up the top is reduced. So how does that increase the boil up?
Well, if you are increasing the reflux, you are putting more cold stuff in.
But then IC5 has to leak down the bottom.
IC5 will leak down the bottoms.
So how does that increase the boil up?
Yeah, that's what I am saying. So when you are increasing the reflux, temperatures inside the column will go down. Temperature in the stripping section will also go down. When temperature in the stripping section is going down, what does that mean? That means NC4, which was the impurity, is dropping down. It was the light guy, right? That's dropping down now. Now to maintain that at 1%, I will have to increase the boil up. You know, so as long as this loop is working, there will be an increase in boil up. Yes or no? Right. So as I increase the reflux, boil up will also increase. Yes or no? Okay. But I don't want the boil up to hit max, because I don't want to lose control of what's leaking down, because there is an economic penalty associated with that. So what do? I'll say, okay, I'll measure the boil up and I'll adjust the ratio set point so that the boil up is close to max but not max. Yeah. Note here that there will have to be some amount of back off in the set point, minus delta. Yeah. I have put in here max, but this will also have to have some back off minus delta, because I cannot afford to lose temperature control. Yeah, reactor temperature control. Alright. So now my throughput manipulator is this chap. Again this guy becomes max, and then when this thing becomes max, okay, so it is max. Basically the amount of IC4 that's leaking down floats. Okay. So in this case I am taking a back off here and I am taking a back off here. Yes or no? Because these are hard constraints. Okay. Also notice that when a constraint becomes active, I need to install a loop. That valve positioning controller has to come in, and when the constraint becomes inactive, that controller has to be taken offline. Yes or no? So there is the additional complexity associated with configuring loops when a constraint becomes active. The other option is don't configure the loop, and then whatever is leaking down the bottoms in the purge, well, you live with that. It may be more, it may be less, I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn about the economic penalty associated with that. That's fine. But if you do care about the economic penalty, you will have to configure that loop. Yes or no? Alright. In the previous case, there were no loops. That ratio controller was always on. Okay. When boil up became active, ratio control was lost. When this boil up became active, ratio control was lost. Yes or no? But as you are reducing throughput, whenever the boil up reduces sufficiently, ratio control will be taken up. Do you see what I am saying? So that controller is always on or is there, you are just losing, it's hitting a max limit, and then whenever it comes below the max limit, control will be taken up. Whenever it goes to the max limit, control is given up. There is no question of configuring a loop when a constraint becomes active. Yes or no? So this is the structure that I drew before. Even though all steady state degrees of freedom were lost in driving as many active constraints, right? Yet you could manage it in a way that there is acceptable inventory control, acceptable pressure control, while getting tight control of all active constraints. Here, if you are not hitting a constraint, if you are away from the constraint limits, there is no problem, this will run. The moment you get to a constraint, you have to do things, right? That is the problem with this structure. And as a consequence of that, so need to configure additional constraint control loops in this system. Yes.
So, in this, when we are controlling, like for example, when the heater duty reaches near max, we are controlling it with the fresh flow.
That's what an operator will do, right? If you are the operator, you are increasing the throughput manipulator, heater duty is operating max, he will say, don't jack it up further because then I will lose temperature control.
So that means when we start controlling, we are essentially limiting the amount of throughput.
Yeah, exactly. So my heater max is limiting throughput, but note that this loop is a very long one. I will make a change in the boil up, in the fresh feed, and its effect on the heater duty will take maybe half an hour to reach, right? So this will be a very loose loop, because this VPC will be very loose, long loop. This is a long loop, therefore this delta will be large. You will have to back off big time because the swings will be large and over long durations.
So once we fixed the flow, then there is no reason why the boil up in the purge column should reach max.
Which flow?
The main flow, to the flow to the DIP.
The fresh feed?
Yeah.
Okay. So no. See, agreed. As long as you don't change the ratio set point, there is no need to do anything. But you are saying that no, I want to maximize production. So the figure that I drew, the feed to the reactor is mostly NC4, a little bit IC5 and a little bit IC4. If I drive this to 0 and if I drive this to 0, then I can suck in more. That remains. So how do I drive these to 0? By basically driving the boil ups to maximum. How do I drive the boil up to maximum? In this case, I will say, okay, jack up this ratio set point. As I am jacking up this ratio set point, boil up will approach max, but then I don't want to lose control of what's dropping down. Therefore, what I will say is adjust this ratio set point to keep the boil up close to max, but there will have to be a back off. You cannot keep it at max, right? Same logic, similarly here. Understood? Okay, so the point is you need to configure additional loops. That's a complexity no one wants. Operators in particular would say, this is a lousy loop, I can do it myself. He'll turn it off and he'll do the same thing but by himself. Like this VPC, what is this doing? If the heater duty is approaching max, don't increase the throughput, don't increase the fresh feed, right? Operator can do that himself. So now he's acting as the VPC. You could have an automatic controller or you could have the operator do it. But it is drawn to show that it needs to be done. In the previous case, nothing needed to be done. Take up, give up, take up, give up, regardless of throughput, right? Okay. Well, so now it just took a 10% feed composition change. Okay, and what this is showing is that maximum achievable throughput is 334.5, I don't know, kilomoles an hour probably. Okay, in CS1, and it remains, what the hell is without VPC? CS1 is CS1, there is no VPC there, right? CS2 with VPC you get a slight improvement, and it's very slight because the loops are long. There's almost no improvement between this and this, but you can compare this and this. How much is this? 10 kilomoles an hour on 300. So 300 per 10 kitna hua? About 3%. 3% extra throughput you are getting using that control structure, using CS1. This is giving 3% extra throughput compared to this. Yes or no? If I need to operate my plant at maximum throughput, well, I'll be making 3% extra material integrated over the whole year. That's crores of extra revenue. Yeah, millions of dollars of extra revenue. Right? This is the same plant run this way, same plant run that way. Yeah, one control scheme happens to be better than the other because it has been designed taking into consideration the constraints that are going to become active. Yes or no? Yeah. So up to 3% control structure dependent throughput loss. Conventional throughput manipulator location at process feed not recommended. That's because all your active constraints are inside, they are not at the feed. Boil up in coil up 1, boil up in coil up 2, maximum heater duty, these are all inside the process. What's the point in having the throughput manipulator away, right? Also you get near optimal operation across the entire throughput range using simple PI control loops. Nothing fancy, no fancy constraint managers or MPC or this or that, right? Simply by addressing which constraint is going to become active, you are getting optimal operation over the entire throughput range. The best control structure avoids additional constraint controllers. When a constraint becomes active, you don't need to configure additional controllers. It's natural to that process. Of course, the key is what are the active constraints. My feeling is that the set of active constraints does not change for a process, or even if it changes, it could be, for example, well, when the equipment is clean, these are your active constraints. Then the furnace fouls up 6 months or 1 year down that becomes the active constraint. At worst, you will have a situation where an additional constraint becomes active because there is deterioration in equipment quality, right? So as far as I can tell, if you understand your process well enough, if your model of the process is good enough, then you will not have a situation that today this is the active constraint set, tomorrow something totally different is the active constraint set. Do you see what I am saying? The active constraint set will be, because your capacity constraints are where they are, that doesn't change. Do you see what I am saying? So what I think is, as long as you know what are your active constraints, okay, even if all your steady state degrees of freedom is 10, number of active constraints is 10, even then you can design a control system that will give you safe, stable and highly economical operation, economically efficient operation. Yes or no? Okay, so that's that. And I think, well, so in conclusion, a priori knowledge of active constraints is the key to economic plant wide control, and this active constraint set is very unlikely to change for a given process. Alright, even if it changes, it will be changed by one, this equipment has degraded enough so that now this is the bottleneck. Okay, it allows a truly top down economic control structure design. Top down meaning active constraints, I am not going to use them for control, put in the other loops, then put in your quality loops, and then put in your level and pressure controllers, right? It is possible to synthesize simple decentralized control structures for near optimal operation over the entire throughput over a large operating window. You are not saying this is my throughput plus 10% minus 10%. You are saying this is my throughput plus 50% minus 50%. That's a bloody large. 330 was the maximum. I bet it was designed for about I think something like 250 or 260 kilomoles an hour. You can also go down to 200. So 200 to 330, how much is that? That's a heck of a large change. You're not saying I'm operating here, little bit here and a little bit there. No, you are operating over a large operating window, large throughput range. While the other thing is conventional throughput manipulator location at a process feed usually results in large back-offs, large economic penalties. Why is that? Because this is the calmest place in your plant. Your active constraints are here, away from. Therefore, you can't control those active constraints tightly. Because you can't control those active constraints tightly, you have to have a large back-off. If you have a large back-off, you take a large throughput penalty or economic penalty or whatever kind of penalty. Yeah, and this will be typically the case. Usually inside the recycle loop, that's where you will get active constraints, not at the feed or at the product. If you get at the feed, what do you need to do? Just install another pump, big deal, right? But if you've got a column that's flooded, you can't do much about it because it takes a heck of a lot of money to install a new column, right? Yes or no? Okay. Oh, that's it. Acknowledgements. These are my students, Rahul number 1, number 2. People I hold in high regard. My advisor, Bill Liben, and of course funding. A lot of the funding for most of the work that I've done has come from